Hey everyone. So it's really late right now, but I can't sleep, so I felt like making a video. Um, there's something that I want to talk about, but I don't really know how to say it, so it might be really rambly. I might not even upload this, but I feel like this is just something I need to say out loud, even if it's just to myself and nobody else hears it. But I think I've been like lying to myself lately and really downplaying how I feel and my experiences and things like that, because in my last video I mentioned how I was feeling a little depressed, but I thought it was situational because it's what, a lot of other people are feeling too, and this is a very depressing and anxiety inducing experience for a lot of people. But I think it's been affecting me in more ways than that, and I think I just haven't admitted it because I don't like to think that I'm like backsliding. I don't like to think that I can't ever function normally. So I downplay it because like I want to believe that it is just a normal experience and it's not something wrong with me. But I've been having more trouble than I've been letting on to anyone. Like I haven't told my therapist or my boyfriend or anybody like that either, but not only have I been struggling with depression and anxiety and mood swings and stuff like that, but I've also been struggling with my psychosis more. And I know in my last video I said that I wasn't having like horrible psychosis, and it's not horrible. Like it's not much worse than it has been in the past, but it is worse than it was before all of this happened. And I guess I want to talk about it, but I'm afraid of how I'll be viewed if I talk about it, because psychosis is a very stigmatized thing, like people don't know a lot about it, or they assume that people who are schizophrenic or have psychosis or whatever are like serial killers, or they like wear tinfoil hats and believe in conspiracy theories, and it's not always like that, and I just want to talk about it, but I'm kind of afraid of being judged, I guess. But I've mentioned it in other videos. Like I think I had a video where I talked about the lights across the street and how sometimes they look like cameras, they look like people spying on me. But I haven't gone into much detail, and I guess I just wanted to talk about how psychosis feels. I mean, I might talk about the content too, but I mainly just want to talk about how it feels to experience psychosis, because a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people who don't go through it. So the first thing is, hallucinations are, to me, indistinguishable from reality. They look, sound, sometimes feel exactly like real life. So it's really hard to tell the difference. Now, I have learned ways to tell the difference. Like there's, consistent hallucinations that I have every day that I know are hallucinations because I have them every day, and I have learned that those are not really there. But then there are others that I would normally observe other people, and that's how I would figure out if it's real or not, because if I see something scary and nobody else is reacting to it, then I can kind of like logically conclude that that is probably not real. Even if it looks real to me and it is scary to me, I can usually kind of hide my reaction a little bit. Like I can make myself seem like a normal person, for lack of a better word. Um but it's hard when I don't have anybody else around to kind of go off of, because sometimes it'll be really late at night and it will sound like somebody's breaking in the house. Like I'll hear banging and I'll hear like stomping, and it sounds like it's coming from the kitchen, which is where the back door is. And so I'll start feeling like somebody's breaking in. And I live with my granddad, but I don't like to talk to I don't like to ask people if that thing is really there, because then it makes me sound crazy, so I try to figure it out by myself. And if it's really late at night, I don't want to wake him up. So I don't know, it's confusing. It's really confusing because I want to respond as if there is somebody in the house because it sounds like there is, but at the same time my granddad is not responding, and I don't know if it's because he's asleep or if it's not there. And I don't want to get up because if there is somebody in the house, I don't want them to know that I am here, So I usually just lay there and be as still as possible until the noise subsides. So that's an example of one that's harder to tell the difference. Unlike my voices, like I have 8 of those and they talk every day and they have their own names and personalities. It's not DID, they're not alters, they're just hallucinations that are consistent and persistent, always there. Not all of them aren't necessarily there all at once and all the time, but they are all there in some capacity. And I have ones that are really, really bad and negative, and I have positive ones that I consider my protectors. And then there's ones that are just neutral, they just talk, and it's annoying. But those I know are hallucinations because I've been experiencing them every single day. But the ones, like the banging in the house and things like that, if it's really dark in my room and I start hearing things, so I turn on the light and I see shadows on the walls that look like people or demons, and it looks real, and I don't have anybody else in the room to kind of base my reaction off of, and it's just it gets really scary, and it's hard to keep my composure and stay calm because it looks like it's really happening, and I don't always know how to tell if there's not another person there. So this has been hard for me for that reason. Also, I was doing really well with my psychosis for a while, and then I stopped taking my medicine for a bit because when my classes switched online, I was sleeping too much. So I would sleep until noon, and then I wouldn't have as much time to get my work done. So at first I just took less of my medicine, and then eventually I stopped taking it for a bit, and that's when the psychosis really kind of came back hard. And I didn't have a psychotic episode or anything, so I wasn't just completely panicking and kind of losing touch with reality, but I could definitely tell it was worse. I was definitely irritable and more on edge, a lot more. And I'm taking my medicine now, but I feel like I made a really stupid decision by stopping my medication, and I shouldn't have done it, and I know I shouldn't have done it. I know it was stupid, but I needed to get my work done, and Seroquel just makes me sleep all the time. And that's really the only significant side effect it's had for me, which is why I keep taking it, because the other antipsychotics I've taken have had really bad side effects. And this one, the only bad side effect, the worst one, is that I just sleep too much, and when I'm awake I feel kind of out of it, and I just don't have as much energy. But I have, like I said, I've been taking it every day now for a few days, but I feel like it's gonna take time for it to kind of get back into my system and start working better again. But I don't know, I just felt like I wanted to talk about psychosis because I mentioned it briefly, but it's really difficult for me to talk about because it's so personal, and I'm afraid that people who know me are going to see this and they're going to think that I'm crazy or weird, or, and I'm the same person. It's just that I'm dealing with something that you didn't know about. And I'm trying, and most of the time I manage it really well, but there are some days where I struggle with it, and lately, with all the stress of like having online classes, I went off my meds temporarily. I haven't been able to go out and see anybody, do anything. It's taking a toll on my mental health more than I expected, because I was in denial and I kept telling myself like, oh, I'm fine. Even when I talked to my therapist, I told her it's fine, it's just like surface level depression, it's the same depression that everybody else is feeling. But that's not entirely true, because I do feel depression, and it's not, I'm not like suicidal or anything, so it's not like horrible, but it's there, and it's a problem, and it's a persistent problem. I feel like it's becoming a little bit worse, especially with the psychosis. That has definitely gotten worse. Sorry. What was I trying to say? It's been getting harder to focus, because for one thing, the voices are louder when I don't take my medicine. That's what I keep hearing. It keeps distracting me. But even when I do take the medicine, it doesn't go away. It just makes them a little bit quieter, a little bit easier to ignore, if that makes sense. And I'm hoping that if I stay on my medication this time, it'll go back to working like before. But from things that I've read, because I Google things when I shouldn't, I really don't know if I kind of messed myself up by going off the medication. Like, I don't know if it'll go back to the way it was before if I continue at my current dose, or if I'll have to go up or whatever. But sorry. It's really hard sometimes, and I feel like I don't admit that enough. I like to feel like I have everything under control, and I like to portray that to others. I like others to know that I have everything under control, even when I don't. Because the thing about me is that you could probably spend a whole day with me and not know that I have psychosis unless I told you. Maybe if I was having a delusion, but if just hallucinations, you probably wouldn't know. Or at least people seem surprised. The people that I have told seem surprised by that, and they say that they didn't know, because I can usually control my reactions very well. But there are days when it's really hard. And there are days when I want to just yell at them and just scream at them and just hide, because sometimes I have visual hallucinations, and it looks like there's like demons in my room, or I hear somebody breaking into my house, and it's just, I guess I'm just realizing that I don't have things under as much control as I thought. Because, like I said, to others and to myself, I say, like, everything's under control. You don't have to, this isn't a problem. Don't worry about this. Just do this. You're fine. You're still doing your work. You're still making good grades, so you're good. But it is hard, because I'm constantly, every day, having to tell the difference between what's real and what isn't. I can't distinguish that as easily as other people. Like, I hear people say, like, oh, trust your gut, trust your senses. I can't trust my senses, because my brain lies to me constantly, and I have to figure out what's a lie and what's truth, and it's really exhausting, and it's really hard, and I don't admit that enough. So I guess that's why I wanted to make this video, is just so I can just admit it, just finally say, like, this is a problem for me, And I keep denying it, and I keep trying to say that I'm fine, everything is fine, but it's not. Everything is not fine. But I'm going to keep taking my medication. I'm going to keep using distractions. I've been listening to music a lot and going for walks a lot, and it helps. But it's... I guess I'll end the video here because I can't really focus anymore. I just needed to get that out in the open. I guess just talk a little bit about psychosis and how it affects me and how I feel about it. If you made it through this really long, rambly video, then thank you so much for watching. I hope you're staying safe and healthy.